Hello, welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. My name is Kirsty and this is my channel where I talk about all the things that I have been making. Welcome or welcome back. It is March 7th at 12:29 p.m. Today is a Wednesday. Yes, I know what day it is this week, almost. And I'm here to share with you the things that I have finished, the things that I'm working on. I have April stats for last month and I have May making plans for this month. Everything that I talk about that has a Ravelry page, so basically everything that I'm knitting or crocheting, will be linked below, and any shops that I talk about, yarn dyers and things, I will also link in the description box down below. I have a knit along to talk about, an informal one and an even more informal one to talk about, and I think that's about it. Oh, and I did start a Ravelry group for this podcast because every week when I talk about it here, I say I would love to hear what you've been making. And a lot of people do share in comments down below what you've been making, and I really enjoyed that. But I don't get to see photos. And unless you have a podcast as well, which I do follow podcasts of people who watch here, yeah, unless you have a podcast, I don't get to see the things that you're making in return. So I have started a Ravelry group for this podcast. At any time, you can jump over there and just put a little photo or link to a project that you're working on over there, or tell me what you're planning to work on and link to patterns, all there. So there is a chat for introducing yourself. There is a thread for chatting about what you're currently working on. And we also have a tea knit along going at the moment. So if you're joining in that tea knit along, I'm calling it a knit along, Cal, but crochet is also welcome. If you're participating in that, there is also a participation thread, chatter, whatever, and also a place to post finished objects. So if you're interested in joining in, that will be linked below, but you can also find it through Ravelry. It's Kirsty Knits and Sews podcast group. Yeah, so let's jump in. I will firstly just go over the knit along, which is pretty informal, but a bit of fun. I wanted to knit the Salty Air Tea by Samantha Guerin. And when I mentioned that, or maybe Ange mentioned it first, Ange from Yarn and Yarns, who I'll also link down below, maybe she mentioned that she was looking at doing it, and I was like, well, I've got that tea, that pattern and yarn for it, and I just haven't cast it on, but I think I'm probably going to start in May if you want to knit together. And she was like, yes, let's do it. So instead of just making it that specific pattern, I was like, let's do any t-shirt, any tees, any pattern, any yarn, whips or new cast-ons, let's go for it. And she was very excited about that prospect. So, and a few other people were as well. So I was like, let's do it, make it a bit more formal. And then someone asked if I had a Ravelry group for it, and I didn't, but I do now. So thank you for asking. Yeah, so now it's a bit more formal in that we have a Ravelry group, we have chatter threads, finished object threads. I decided to make it from the 1st of May, the 1st of May to the end of June, 30th of June. So if you have a whip, pick it up and work on it. If you haven't got any t-shirts on the needles and you want to knit t-shirts, jump on in, find one, cast on. There have been some free t-shirt patterns shared in the discussion chat over on the group page. And yeah, just basically have fun. Knit, crochet, join in. You don't have to finish anything. I'll probably end up drawing prizes because that's just a bit of extra fun. But you don't have to finish anything in order to get a prize. I think that's it for the knit along. So if you're interested in knitting a tee, jump on in. You can cast on 20 and finish none of them if you want to. That's totally fun. But yeah, come and join us. It's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying reading comments and seeing what people are working on so far. April stats. Now, I track how many things I work on, and I track how many grams I use. That's not out of my stash, so I'm not counting a full skein. I'm actually weighing the finished objects and counting how much I've actually knitted. So I finished 5 things in April, and one 1,437 grams. That is by far my largest month of the year. And the reason is I finished 3 jumpers. 3 jumpers, a hat, and a shawl. Yeah, 3 jumpers in 1 month. So I'm excited to share them with you today. And if you've noticed, I am indeed wearing one of them. Oh, this is my new favorite jumper. And I can say that now because I haven't actually tried on the other 2 that I finished. They finished drying this morning from blocking. And so I thought it would be fun to try them on for the first time with you guys. But this one I did block a few weeks ago and I've worn a few times and I absolutely love it. But yeah, so 1,437 grams that I've used last month in April. I don't track what comes in. I did buy some stuff in April. Some of it was probably emotional buying. Some of it was I wanted to get things for specific projects. But I don't count or track what comes in. I just track what goes out. And that is meant to help me work on the things that I want to work on rather than the things that will get a finish or get lots of grams out. Because I found when I was trying to balance like more out than in or something like that, I was trying to work on the big, quick, chunky projects, and the more intricate ones, like maybe this one, didn't get as much work. So I've stopped doing that. I just track what goes out to help me have a better idea of what I'm actually using. And I'm just working on what I want to work on. It's great. All right, so let's go into finishes. So yes, indeed, I am wearing my framed sweater. I love this thing. This was the Rhinebeck knit along, yeah, I'm going to say last year, 2024, the Rhinebeck knit along. It is by Andrea Mary of Drea Renee Knits. Again, project page will be linked below with yarn as well as the pattern in that. Yeah, so it's by Drea Renee Knits, Andrea Mary, and this was her Rhinebeck sweater for last year. And she does a knit along that finishes, I think, in October, where everyone who knits it can wear it together to Rhinebeck and they can have a big meet up and stuff. I don't live in America. I've never been to Rhinebeck, but I loved the pattern. And when I first saw it, I will tell you, it grew on me. When I first saw the pattern, I loved the idea. So if you can kind of isolate that much, you can see it is like a star, which is a very common sewing patchwork quilt block. And then she's done it where you've got kind of inverse colours. And so that was the inspiration for this top. And I love sewing. I started majority of my creative expression output until maybe 5 years ago was patchwork. And I used to work in a patchwork fabric shop and all that kind of stuff. I have a lot of fabric. And so I loved the connection to sewing and knitting in this design. But when I saw her first saw her top, I just wasn't taken by it. And I thought, look, I'm not going to buy it just because it's a connection between patchwork and knitting. I'll leave it. And then I saw some of her testers ones and I saw her one in a bit more detail and a few more angles, and I went, actually no, I really like that. And instead of going out and buying yarn, I decided to look in my stash, and I had yarn in my stash to make it. And so I thought, if I've got the yarn in my stash, I'm already thinking of making it, I'll buy the pattern while it was on an introductory discount and join in the knit along. I didn't finish it in October, clearly, but I did pull from my stash to make it, cast it on, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. I do have somewhere here, this is my bag of leftovers from all the things that I've made this month. So let me see if I've got this one in here. I do. Amazing. So this is what I got. So it is Malabrigo Rios. Yeah, here we go. Malabrigo Rios in the colour 894 Cello y Tierra. And that is this colour up here and all the dark blue. Now, I had 3 skeins, and you can see there, this one is significantly browner than this one. I had 2 of them more blue and 1 of them more brown. Same, actually, there's no dye lot for this one, so I can't say they're the same dye lot, but I definitely had 2 more blue and 1 more brown, but still with the same tones and things in there. So when I looked at the pattern, I think I needed 2 skeins for the stars and 1 skein for the hem, the cuff, the collar. And so I thought, great, if I use the 2 blue for the stars and the other for the contrast, then even though they're technically the same yarn, it does have a slight contrast, but definitely goes together. And I have to say, I love it. I'm so glad with how it worked out, because as you can see, there's definitely more brown up here, but it's just beautiful, in my opinion. Absolutely beautiful. And I do have just a little bit left over from them that I have some grey yarn that I originally bought to go with this. And so I might put this back with the grey yarn and do like a bean and olive. I don't know if that's DK or worsted. Anyway, I might use this as colour work for that grey whenever I go back to that. The contrast, the white, or the grey, definitely not white, the grey is 100% Corriedale non-superwash, and I bought it as a 200 gram bat from Fibre Art Shed in Australia. Fibre Art Shed is a mill, and I don't know if they have sheep, but they definitely have a mill, and they make yarn, and they at least used to card their own bats. I don't know if they still have their carder. I know they did pause that a while ago. Anyway, go have a look. I will be having a look again soon because my parents are going to come to visit soon, and I'm going to ask them to maybe bring me over some more fibre. But this one I bought, actually I think they brought over with them when they came to visit last time, which was 2 years ago. And I just used this to practice spinning backwards supported long draw. It's carded, so it's woolen spun. Long draw is a more woolen style spin, so it is, I'm going to call it a true woolen yarn, and it is very warm, very squishy, beautiful, beautiful, and it's 100% Corriedale, which is one of the, like, very spinnable, very wearable, but I would say it's on the coarser end of, no, I'm not going to say that. If you're used to merino, it will feel coarse. If you're used to not merino wool, then it's delightful and beautiful. Anyway, I have another project where I've used it, where I spun it worsted spun, which is not extra air in and just short forward draft. And there is a very big difference in the softness of the two. This is definitely, in my opinion, much nicer wool than the other one. I will still wear the other one, not a problem there. But yes, I'm definitely learning more about what I like in wool, and woolen is a delight. Woolen spun, woolen draft. All that to say, I bought the bat from Fibre Art Shed. I split it into, my plan was to do a traditional 2-ply of backwards long draw. And when I finished spinning what I thought was all of it, I then did a plying bracelet, I believe, because the other half I'd put away and had forgotten that I had half of it put away. So once I plied it up and weighed it, I realised that it was just over half the fibre. So I went and looked, found the second half, spun that up, did another plying bracelet to ply that up. And there was a distinct difference between the two. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell this at all. Maybe? The two sleeves. One is one ball and one is the other. This one is thicker, this one is thinner. It doesn't look too noticeable. When I know what I'm looking for, I can look for it and see it. I don't think this is a flaw in the finished product or anything like that. It was just I spun the singles a year apart and plied them on themselves because I forgot that I was trying to do a 2-ply and plying them together. So they were just slightly different. So the whole body was the thinner one that I did first, and then one whole sleeve, and I think the second sleeve, I think the very end of the first sleeve, maybe the last star, I moved into the second ball, and then the second sleeve is entirely that. Yeah, so I've still got a fair amount. I thought I would be playing yarn chicken with this one so bad, and I didn't. And so I have leftover of this as well, and I will put this away for another handspun project in the future. I did modify because the handspun was thick and thin. I went down a pattern size. I don't know if I kept the same needle size or if I went up a needle size. Again, information will be in the Ravelry project page. But I did go down a pattern size, thinking I could have less positive ease, and then if it did grow because it's thicker yarn, then that's okay. I don't know, I haven't checked against gauge to see what it is, but I'm very happy with what it is. But I did knit one less star in the body. Let me stand up a bit so you can see this. I knit one less star in the body than what the pattern called for, so there's only 5 there. And I knit one more star in the sleeve, so there's 6 there. The reason I did that is because I didn't want the 3/4 sleeves that the pattern had. So Andrea had hers chop off here, and that's all very well and good, fine. I wanted the longer, and because I took one out of the body, I thought the balance then was nice. But I also wanted it to be a little bit more cropped because I did want to wear it over dresses. And I have achieved that. This dress that I'm wearing is just like a maxi dress. And yeah, I absolutely love the fit and everything about this jumper. All right. Is there anything else about this jumper? That's the question. Oh, yes. I started it on, let me go back a month. I started it on the 8th of August, 2024, and I finished it on the 11th of April this year, 2025, and it used 427 grams total. So that's pretty good considering I had 300 grams of this and 200 grams of the grey. And yeah, I have less than 100 grams left. That's great. Yeah, so yes, absolutely love the sweater. We'll be wearing it a lot. It is pretty good for the moment. What is it today? I think it's around 11 degrees Celsius today. So it's on the cooler side. I did wear it the other day without a singlet top on underneath my dress, and I was freezing. So today I have a singlet top underneath my dress and I'm a little bit warm. So we'll see if I can find that balance. But yes, I do love it, and it is nice because it's still loose. I can wear it over a dress and not be too warm, but if I have my back covered, I should explain. The dress I'm wearing has a little cutout of the back so that the part of my back that makes me feel hot or cold is not covered. So if I'm wearing it with that dress, then even though it's quite warm and thick, it's fine. If I'm wearing it in colder weather, putting a singlet top on to cover that part makes me warmer, and it's fine. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but it's my back. The other thing I'll say, it is worsted yarn. And so it is colour work worsted, so it is quite thick. And then because the grey is a woolen spun, it holds the warmth even more. So it's quite a warm sweater, but because it still lets air into it, it doesn't feel overwhelmingly warm. Let's put it that way. All right, the next thing that I finished, well, we're going to do jumpers first because I finished 3 of them in a row. Yeah, I mentioned that on the last podcast, I think, that I had 1 sleeve left on this one and 2 sleeves left on the other 2. And I was like, can I get 3 done by the end of the month? Not only did I get them done by the end of the month, I got them done by the 16th of April. Like, I smashed it. All right, I'm going to take this off and put the next one on. Maybe I should show you first. Yeah, this is a raglan tee, a raglan jumper. There is no pattern for this one because I just followed my own counts for a different pattern and then adjusted them a bit. I will put it on in a second, but it's just a basic raglan, again, cropped, and I did balloon sleeves. You can see them puffing out, excuse me, puffing out there a bit. The yarn I used for this is Maximu Yarns, where is it? Maximu Yarns double knit. He hand dyes yarn on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria, Australia, and it's 8 ply DK weight, 100% superwash merino, 200 meters to 100 grams. I used Art Room Brawl for 3 skeins, and the final skein was Icebreaker. Now, I don't have any Icebreaker left, and I can't even see my Art Room Brawl, so I don't know if I have that left or not. But if you look at the sleeve, the end of the sleeve, that part there, that is Art Room Brawl. So you've got purples, bit of green, bit of blue. Yeah, really, really pretty. The difference between that and the rest of it, in my mind, the biggest difference is Icebreaker introduced orange, but it also had a more minty colour in the background. So this one here, I was doing 2 rows of Art Room Brawl, 1 row Icebreaker, and here I ran out of Icebreaker for the end of the sleeves. So the end of the sleeves are both completely Art Room Brawl. I did do both sleeves the same. So you can see the orange stops and then it moves into Art Room Brawl. When I got to the sleeves, and this is why this one got put away for a little bit, went on hold, was because I finished the body, I cast off. I also did just Art Room Brawl for all, like the bottom hemming and the collar as well, with just Art Room Brawl, and the short rows at the back were also Art Room Brawl only because I didn't want to stripe for short rows. But the rest of it, it was 2 to 1, 2 rows Art Room Brawl, 1 row Icebreaker, and I think that gave a very nice overall look to the fabric. Just look at the drape in that. Oh, so beautiful. This is delightfully soft yarn. Delightfully soft. I have some socks in his fingering weight yarn, also delightful. And yeah, I think I made my son a beanie out of his fingering weight one as well. I really, really like his yarn. Yes, so when I finished the body and I got to the sleeves and I knew I had only a little bit left, and I wanted the sleeves to be as long as I could make them. Yeah, I actually don't think I have any left over. I wanted the sleeves to be as long as I could make them. So I split the yarn into 2 lots. The Icebreaker, which I had a lot less of, I split into 2, and then the Art Room Brawl I also split into 2. And I put 1 half in a bag and the other half I knit from until I was done, counting my rows, and then I got the other half out and I knit till it was done. And I did end up, that's right, I did end up having to use the little bit that I had left over from the first sleeve to, I think it was just to bind off the second sleeve. It's not this one, it's the other one. When I was sewing in ends, I was trying to figure out why there were so many ends in it. It may not have been just to bind off, but like the last row maybe I had to go back to what I had left over from the first sleeve and do the second sleeve bind off. Yeah, it was very, very close. So I don't have any extra yarn of this one at all, that's why. But I did want to say, this one weighs 413 grams, but I only had 4 skeins of yarn. So the reason I'm telling you this is last episode, I think I was talking about a commercially dyed yarn that had at least 10 grams less in the ball than what was on the label. And I've had that happen a few times with commercially dyed yarn. Indie dyed yarn, I tend to find they have a couple of grams more. And in this one, it must have, because even though I used every single gram that I had in those 4 skeins, it is still more than 400 grams, which is what I technically bought. 413 grams. And that's after ends have been cut off. Like, I'm impressed. Anyway, Maxima Yarns, I'll link him down below. I did do the 2-1. You can see I did carry the yarn down the back, and then in the sleeves, I carried the yarn on the bottom of the sleeve. You can see I haven't trimmed all the ends off since I blocked it. So, shall I try it on? Bear with. Oh, that's beautiful. Maybe a little bit pale for me, but I'm gonna keep it. That is perfect. Let me just do a little bouncy thing. My goodness. So comfy. And the drape. All right. So, a few confessions about this sweater. So this was day 10 of 12 cast-ons of Christmas, and I had made myself a dress using a basic raglan that I had been designing, and so I then wanted to make myself a sweater with the same counts. But when I finished the dress, I was like, I'm not really liking it. It was a bit bunchy up here, so I wanted more short rows in the back, and I was like, maybe a little bit looser would have been good. So then when I started doing this, my original plan had been quite a tight cropped sweater to wear over dresses that didn't really have any sleeves or whatever. But then I realized, as I looked at my dresses, that a lot of them actually have maybe puffy sleeves or frilly sleeves that go to about here. So I didn't want to have a super tight fitted jumper that I couldn't actually wear over the dresses. I wanted to wear them over. And then after I split, did I split for the sleeves? I think I just split for the sleeves, and I realized that the body was too small. And so I went back, and again, no gauge swatching, because I don't gauge swatch. I went back, I ripped back to maybe up here, and I did much more increases. And I was trying to get a sweater with around 0 inches, like no positive ease, maybe 1 inch positive ease. And then when I finished the decreases and changed the needles and weighed it again, finished the increases, changed needles and measured it again, I was like, this is going to be bigger. This has positive ease. It definitely has positive ease. At the same time, I lost a bit of weight and went down a size, and so it has even more positive ease. And then when I blocked it, it grew even more. This yarn grows in blocking, which I should have known because A, it's a superwash, but B, I have socks out of it, and the socks definitely feel looser on my feet than other socks that I've made with different yarn. But I didn't think all of that ahead. So I have now a very oversized, comfy jumper, which is still like my hip is here. So it's still slightly cropped. My waist is up here, so it's not fully cropped. But I am not sorry. I am not sorry at all, because this jumper, framed, is actually filling the space in my wardrobe that I originally intended this one to fill. And now that I have this one as a more formal kind of wearing over dresses thing, I can now have this one as a more cozy, I want to say wear around the house, and I will wear it around the house, but I'll also wear it out and I'll wear framed around the house. So, you know, however you want to think about it. But this is now has a space in my wardrobe. Like, I don't have a hand knit sweater that I can throw over t-shirts. Like, I could wear this with t-shirts and a jeans. I could throw over dresses. It has the room in the sleeves for going over, not puffed sleeves, but sleeves. Where a lot of my sweaters I have designed ease-wise to wear over tank tops. And so, yes, I now have one to wear over other things. And in terms of like drape, I was originally going to do less increases in the body down here to make it kind of cut along here. And that's where I ended up having a body that was too small. But I also did extra increases and length in the body than I was originally intending. So maybe if I did it again, I would bring this line down here instead of having it go out quite that far. But anyway, it's comfy. I like it. Sorry, there's no pattern that I can point you to for this one. But if you just search basic raglan, there are plenty of raglan sweaters out there. And yeah, it's just 2x2 rib for all of the cuffs and hems. I did do short rows. I did a couple of decreases in the sleeves because I realized how big the sleeves were going to be when I finished that. But other than, I think I did maybe 3 decreases in this section, and then I just knit them straight, and that's how you get that nice little puffy balloon. I did a decrease round before the cuff. So they're not very tight, but they do, yeah, sit nicely. Oh, I'm so happy. I loved this sweater. It is making me so happy. Yeah, it was inspired by, I saw someone wearing a sweater that was, I think, black, orange and green speckles, maybe some yellow in there too, at a cafe about a year ago. And I loved it and wanted the sweater in different colours. And so when I found this yarn, it was just so similar to what I had seen that I had to buy it. Didn't have to buy it, but I really wanted to, and I did. So I started this as part of 12 cast-ons, which, if you don't know, it's a knit along by Ange of Yarn and Yarns. The cast-on portion is over for this year, but you can join in again next year if you haven't already. Basically, it's to set up for her year's worth of making. She casts on 12 new projects between the 24th of December and the end of January the following year, and then works on those projects throughout the year. And so I joined in, I cast on 12 new projects between the 26th of December and the 7th of January. I did one a day with New Year's Day off as a rest. And I vlogged about it here. So I'll link the vlogs down below for that. But this was day 10 out of the 12 cast-ons. I have 9 left. So I finished 3 already and it's May. Yeah, so this was day 10, which is in the playlist that I will link below. And so I started it January 5th, 2025 and finished it the 13th of April, 2025. All right. The next one is insane. Insane. This is this way. It's almost exactly the same. This is the Weekender Light by Andrea Mary. Oh my goodness. I'm definitely getting like 70s bus seat vibes from this. Andrea Mary. Oh, two of my sweaters today from Andrea Mary. And I have entered them both into the DRK March to May knit along. If you knit any of her patterns and finish them, you can do that on her Ravelry group page. I started spinning this yarn when I first got my spinning wheel, which was for Mother's Day, so 2 years ago. Wow, 2 years ago I started spinning this yarn. This is what I have left of the yarn. They are not matching, even though they have similar colours on the outside. I bought a whole bunch of the darker green. Let's see if we can do this. A whole bunch of the darker green and the more yellowy orange. I bought Corriedale of those two, and then I bought a merino scrap pack. And in the merino scrap pack, they included quite a lot of the brown, the blue, the deeper orange, the brighter green, the white, and this paler green down here. And when I saw the colours that came with it, I thought that's perfect for kind of a mallard duck colour. And so I didn't do any blending, any carding. I just simply pulled off bits of the colours and lay it out in some kind of order. Then I went through and I got similar amounts and split them into two and laid them out in the same order, and then the same into four and laid it out in the same order. So what started as just top, like plain unspun yarn, unspun fibre, ended up in a 3-ply fractal spin, 1, 2, 4. And it just, when one colour finished, I joined in the next and spun through the whole lot. Then when I finished, I plied them together, and to ply them together, I made sure, there were one bobbin per ply, because I spun it on my Ashford Kiwi 3, which has quite large bobbins. I didn't weigh what I had, and I didn't know if I would end up with fingering or DK or sport weight, because this was my first sweater spin, and really my first spin other than a couple of trials. So I really had no idea what I was going to end up with, and I was just like, I'm just going to go for it. So I did, and I ended up with what I would say is mostly sport weight, but then toward the end it turned into fingering weight. So I think my sleeves are a little bit thinner. But I ended up with, how much? 400 something, 500 grams of fingering to sport weight. So 4 to 5 ply, depending on which way you prefer. And therefore I decided to do the Weekender light. Now I had originally started spinning this in the DRK Spin It to Knit It for the Weekender, and definitely did not have it finished in time. So when I came back to Poland this last year, I started spinning it again, kept spinning it, and had finished spinning it. I want to say maybe I finished, I finished spinning it, and I think plying it during the 12 cast-ons, because on day 9 I had to start a new spinning project and I didn't have the room to do that. So yes, that was during 12 cast-ons in January. But then if you watch this podcast, you probably remember this story better than I do. I thought about casting it on in February, and everyone was like, yes, cast it on. One friend in particular, hey Rosie, really wanted to see how the yarn would knit up. And I just had no motivation in February to cast this on. None. And then I was like, maybe in March for the DRK March to May knit along. And again, I had absolutely no motivation. I did wind it up, but I had no motivation to finish. Ooh, different weights, but they would be pretty. No motivation. Then I got to April. I don't know if I'd finished something at the end of March or not. Let me check. No, nothing in particular. But I got to April and I was like, I'm going to cast this on. And I did. And then I got sick. And so I knit, I think all of the body, almost all of the body, front and back, fingering sport weight yarn, while I was sick. Because it's, aside from this faux seam down the center, it is straight knitting. And I just knit. And I was so sick, and sometimes I wasn't really able to do anything, and other times I could sit on the couch. And if I was sitting up, I was knitting. If I wasn't well enough to sit up, I was lying down and not knitting. But I knit, yeah, basically the entire body during that time. And so then I was like, all I need to do is pick up the sleeves and knit the sleeves. And it's a drop shoulder, so the sleeves aren't even that long. And I did pick up extra stitches for the sleeves. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 extra stitches for the sleeves, because I knew, my sleeves are usually on the tighter side. Maybe my arms are bigger than my body, I don't know. But they are usually on the tighter side. And I also knew I was knitting a size down. Did I do a size down and needle size up again? Maybe I did, because I thought the yarn was a bit thicker and I wanted to have a bit of drape. So I went a size down, a needle size up, but it meant that for the sleeves, it meant that I had a larger hole here, because I knit the length for the size up, even though, yeah, that makes sense, because it's a bottom-up sweater. So I got to here, and then I split for the front and the back, and I knit the length that it said for the next size up. So when I came to pick out the sleeves, I didn't want it to be pinching in around there, so I knit the next size up. Anyway, let's try it on. So exciting, all these jumpers. And I have more jumpers to show you after this too, they're just not finished. Oh man. Oh, wow. This is probably a jumper I will wear over jeans rather than over a dress. It is definitely longer. Like my hips are here, waist is here. So that's, yeah, top of my thigh. Oh, wow. I do look like a 70s bus or carpet or something. Love it. Yeah, I don't know what else there is really to tell you about this. I am happy with the fit. It's definitely got fitted sleeves, but that's okay. It is a boat neck, and Andrea has come out with a crew neck version of this pattern, so it has the faux seam, but it has a more scooped neck. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about the boat neck, and when I tried it on, I did think it was a little bit high, but now that it has the sleeves pulling down, the front pulling down, I'm okay with that. If it was like a centimetre higher, I would not be, but where it is, I'm actually okay with that. All right. Yeah, definitely, well, the sleeves don't match. Wasn't trying to make them match. And you can see like the striping happens a little bit quicker down the bottom, because that was being knit in full circumference, and a bit slower up here, and then even slower in the arm. I don't care. I love it, and I'm looking forward to wearing it. Oh, starting to get warmer, and I have all these jumpers finished, but it's okay because this week is meant to be cold. All right, I think I'm going to leave this one on for the rest of the podcast. I will say already, like, it is a little bit itchier than, definitely than that one. That one's soft as butter. A little bit itchier than this. The Malabrigo is very soft, and the woolen spun Corriedale is also quite soft. This one of my strands was so super thin that I think if I had plied it, like done a chain ply on itself, I would have ended up with a 3-ply lace weight. It was so thin. And so I think that's creating a little bit of texture because, yeah, just that ply was so thin. But yeah, I'm happy with that, and I think it will also get softer as I wear it, but I don't mind wearing it as it is. This one has a 3-needle bind off to close the top for the shoulders, and it also has this ribbing detail. I don't know how much you can see that ribbing detail at the top. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Love, love, love. All right, well, that's still not all my finished objects. It's a bit of a long episode today, I think. This one I started on the 1st of April and I finished on the 16th of April. So just over 2 weeks for an entire fingering weight sweater. And this one was 360 grams in the end. So I still have, 100, maybe even 200 grams left of that. That could be cool in a shawl, actually. Maybe I'll do a shawl out of it. Or I do have the tessellated vest sweater. Tessellated vest by Ange, and I have contrasting yarns to go with that, and so I was like, maybe I could use this as one of the colors with the other two. Maybe I'll do that. I think that'll be enough. We'll see. All right, the next finished object I have is a muscle bar. I have not cast a new one on since I finished this one. This one I finished on the 10th of April. It weighs 87 grams. This is Opal, Winterweide, probably saying that wrong. Yeah, the tag broke, and it is color number 11195. It is self-striping, so I did nothing special. Muscle Barra is a stockinette hat, if you have never heard of one before. So you can wear it like that, or you can flip the rim up, but it is actually just knit as a long tube with increases on one end and decreases on the other. And so you flip it inside out and you have a double thickness hat, which is so very warm. When it is cold, I wear these every day. My kids wear them, my husband wears them. Oh, still got a stitch marker here. How funny. We all love wearing these hats. This one is not for anyone in particular. I made my size. It is a little bit tighter than what I would prefer to wear unblocked. If I blocked it, it may grow. But I suspect maybe my daughter will want it next year or someone else, but I'm just going to put it away in my stash of things that I can give away. So when someone needs a beanie, we have one. I just really, really loved the yarn and wanted to knit it. It is getting warmer, so I'm not really making muscle bars as much anymore. And more, I'm noticing I still need something small, so like a pair of socks or something, but I'm happy to pick up vanilla jumpers or tops if I'm at a point where I can do that. What is next? The next one that I have finished, which is actually an old finish that I pulled out again, is my granny wrap shawl, granny shawl. And this is a pattern by, I think it's Annaboo's House. Again, project page will be linked below. It is a free pattern, and I think it's for Aran weight yarn, but I did it in fingering, and I just changed the crochet hook size, and everything else was the same. So this, I used a 3.5mm crochet hook. This yarn is hand dyed. This one is 3 Trees Fibercraft. This one is Fiber Lily, I want to say. This one is Miss Nitsky in her Bamberino, which is a bamboo merino nylon, and is super soft, and I want to use more. And then this one on the end is Yavol. So I do have, so this is the orange on the end, and I think that's saying color 215 on this side, but I'm not certain that that's color, not dye lot. And then the Miss Nitsky is, yeah, 60% superwash merino, 25% bamboo, 15% nylon. And I am definitely tempted to get some more of that to make a top. It is delightfully soft, and I'm hoping with the bamboo it won't be quite so warm as just merino. The Yavol did, I've got a little bit left over. I weighed it, did not have enough for another full row, and so I just finished it off and split it into 2 for my scrappy blankets. Miss Nitsky Bamberino, I had a touch left over. Again, did not have enough to do another full row. I don't know, I think I was using around 10, 11 or 12 grams by the end for a row, so that's a little left over that will go into a blanket. And the Yavol also comes with darning thread inside, which the first time I saw it, I was like, what do I do with this? And I actually held it double with the yarn for the heel and the toe to try and make it extra strong. There is less meterage in this than in the ball of yarn. So now I just collect them, and if I ever need to do mending, I have a nice selection of darning thread. That matches perfectly, not all my colours, but a lot of the colours that I have. This shawl I finished a while ago because I stopped here, and I knit this much, and I had a green to go on the end that had some kind of rusted red in it, but it was green. And I started knitting it or crocheting it in, and I did not like it. So I stopped, I called it done. I was like, stopping here. It was still a nice little shawl, worked as a cowl or something, scarf. But then I realized this wool is a tough sock. Oh, no, I said this was Fiber Lily. This is Martin's Lab. Yeah, that is Martin's Lab, which is a polished dyer. Which is also tough sock, but much softer than this tough sock. So this one was a little bit tough or rough for wanting to wear around my neck in such a, you know, all-encompassing way. So I just never wore it. My daughter used it as a dress up one day, and then I was having a look and I was like, I want it just to be bigger so I can wear it as a shawl. So I went to my stash and found these 2 yarns and decided to add them in. And I'm happy with how it looks and the way it ties it together, but also it is now warm enough, long enough to use as a shawl, and warm enough, and yes, long enough at the back to cover my back. So I did use it as a shawl all of last week when I was sitting outside in the morning, and I'm going to put it back by the back door now so that I can use it in the mornings again, because they're not very warm mornings at the moment, but I really like sitting outside. I did have one day when I was away where I did this because it was just so cold, and so I had a blanket around me, and then I wore this because I didn't have a beanie with me at the time, and so I just sat outside rugged up in a blanket. It was great. But yes, that will go sit outside again now. All right, so that one I started, I think, in 2023 is when I started or decided I'd finished it, and then I came back and I did some more and finished it again on the 18th of April. So yeah, they are all my finishes for last month, and that the 3 jumpers, the 150 grams that I added onto the shawl, I didn't count the whole shawl, just what I added on since I finished it last, and the hat are all 1,437 grams. Now, we're up to May. Isn't that pretty? This is just an art book that I picked up from a cheap shop somewhere in the art section. It has blank pages, and I have a stamp that does lines, and so every month I just stamp in the lines and then add stickers, washi tape, whatever, to have a nice little knitting book. And I found a washi tape set that had a few stickers, and so I've decided to use them for the rest of the year for the month. So this is just where I track my current projects, not including blankets, the yarns I use, when I start, when I finish, and how many grams I use. And then these are my May making plans, knitting related, not knitting related. We'll go into that in a minute. So, what have I been working on? Well, I finished the 3 jumpers, and I was super, super motivated to keep working on jumpers. I really liked having kind of a longer term thing, not having like socks that you kind of finish in a week or 2, but having this pattern continues for 100 stitches or something. And I didn't have any shawls at a good point to take with me away, because I did go away for a little bit, a couple of weeks. So I was trying to figure out what to take away since I just finished 3 jumpers. And I decided to take away day 8. I think this was day 8 of my 12 cast ons. And this is called the Kookaburra jumper. It is by, let me double check the name. I hope the name is here. Oh, it's not. Sorry. I used to think it was strange that designers put their names all over their patterns. But now I think it's a really great idea, and please do it. All right. So it's by Marzena Kowalczyk, who is a Polish woman who lives in Sydney, Australia, and has beautiful, beautiful, beautiful patterns. In fact, let me see if I can show you a picture of what this. So it is a jumper. I believe that's her husband modeling that. I think I met him at a yarn show. It is a beautiful pattern. It is inspired by the kookaburra, which is an Australian bird who laughs a lot. And Marzena's philosophy of knitting is do more complicated things, make them beautiful, enjoy every stitch. So she's not a, basic modern style finish it as quick as you can kind of designer. She's a let's make this a work of art kind of designer. And so I started this on day 8 when my pick was, oh yeah, look, I have my little day 8 stitch marker, which I picked up from Knit with Sis, who I'll try and remember to link down below. Day 8, I was picking out of bowls, and day 8's prompt was Polish. Knit something in Polish. And I knew that I wanted to knit my husband a jumper, and I knew that was another prompt that I could possibly pick out, but I decided to use the Polish one as also knitting for my husband. And so I had a look at a whole bunch of different patterns, and this is the one that I decided to go with. So it is Kookaburra, you go, you can see some of the texture there. These little things here in the pattern, they're called pines, and you can kind of see that looks a bit like a pine tree or a Christmas tree maybe. And so the pattern is basically you have them, I'm on to the last one now, and then the bottom I think is seed rib or seed stitch or something like that. And I believe the sleeves are seed stitch too maybe, but I haven't checked. It has been delightful to knit this. Delightful. I, for the cast on, had done the shoulders for the front and had almost joined it. So last month, when I picked it up halfway through the month, I then joined the front, knit the front, picked up stitches for the back, knit the back, joined it in the round, which I only did a few rows ago, and have been knitting in the round. Man, I love it. The reason I stopped this one where I did is that I was up to another ball of wool. So this one I'm using 4 Seasons Montana, which is an 8-ply, 90% wool, 7% acrylic, 3% viscose, and it is a tweedy one. I got this from Spotlight Australia on clearance. So I bought maybe 15 balls of the blue and 5 or 6 of a brown, thinking great for jumpers and things for me or my husband. And it is, yeah, it is a tweedy, but it was on clearance, so I don't think they'll have it anymore. And it was a really good price, so I bought them. But I don't like working from a ball for a long period. So this one I actually found less annoying than I expected, and I've done 2 balls I believe in here already. Eating my hair. But I was like, do I want to wind up the next one before I keep going or not? And I had other projects with me, so I decided to wait till I wound up more yarn. And then I didn't wind it up, and I'll probably just keep knitting from the balls anyway. So, you know, it is what it is. But this is for my husband. It is a slight drop shoulder, like it's not meant to be a big drop shoulder, but I think the picking up for the sleeve is kind of maybe that much down the sleeve maybe. Yeah, so I'm interested to see if it doesn't fit my husband. I do have some other men in my life that I could give a really nice hand knit jumper to. And if it does fit my husband, I may knit another one for some of them anyway, because who doesn't love a nice hand knit jumper? One thing that is really nice about this pattern is that Marjana has a different download for every size. So you don't have to deal with, you know, counting along, I'm, you know, 3rd after the brackets in this size. Every size you download a separate PDF, and all the numbers in that PDF are for you. It is amazing. I think, yeah, I'm just going to double check the charts. Yep, everything. Charts, numbers in the pattern, everything is specific for the size you are knitting. So if you're trying to merge 2 sizes together, that might be a little bit more annoying. Or, you know, I want to do the stitch count from this, but the length from this, you'll have to download the 2 different patterns. But for I'm just knitting this pattern, it is so good, and particularly because it is a complicated knit. You have all over patterning all the time, whether it's knit purl when you're doing the top half. Now it's all right side, so it's a bit easier, but the whole time all the numbers are just for this size. So I definitely, if you're someone who struggles with which size you're meant to be doing, can recommend Marjana's patterns. The other thing about it, what was I going to say? Oh, it's in Polish, which makes sense because I've just told you this was my Polish prompt. I live in Poland, in Rzeszów, with my husband and my kids. We moved here 3 years ago, I think, and I'm learning Polish. And one of the things I would love to do is to be able to knit in Polish with Polish friends, teach people how to knit, There's someone at my church who wants to learn how to knit. And so I'm trying to teach myself Polish knitting lingo. And so I thought knitting in Polish is a good way to do that. Now, when we went away, I had forgotten completely that this was in Polish. I was just thinking about the project itself I wanted to make. I picked it up my first day, I pulled it out, and I was like, oh, this is in Polish. Okay. And I was up to the joining at the front, so I had to actually read the Polish. The charts, the key is still in Polish, but the charts are charts. So if you can read a chart, you can read a chart. But all of the information about, you know, drop these stitches, cast on stitches, all of that is in Polish. So it actually ended up being really nice to do that while I was away and to not have other things that I could just be like, oh, this is too hard, I'm going to pick this up. I worked through it, I did it, I understand Polish knitting patterns so much better now. And I think if I made this again, I would still use the Polish version. She does have all of her patterns in Polish and English, so if you want the English in whatever size, you download the English PDF for that size. But I didn't do that. I only have the Polish one downloaded, I only have the Polish one printed off, so everything is in Polish. And she does have, I know I've said here before, I'm not a big fan of cardigans anymore, or at least like cardigans that you button up over dresses, but she has the most beautiful cardigan pattern that I've seen for a long time, and I want to make it. And originally I was going to make that one, but I didn't have yarn for it, and I did have yarn for this, so I'm making this one this year. Maybe next year I'll make her cardigan. But yeah, really, really love it. Kookaburra, beautiful, beautiful patterning. I was worried that the patterning would get lost in the tweed, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I'm doing everything recommended, needle size, everything for this one. I haven't done a gauge swatch because I don't do that, but you can see a tiny little bit left from that ball. Yeah, I don't gauge swatch, so I haven't got that, but yeah, really enjoying that one. Do I have, no, they'll be in that one. I need, for one of my other projects, I need try-it-on cord because I need to put sleeves on hold. So I'm trying to figure out where to steal them from, but I'm pretty sure I have some in my sewing room, so I'll just grab them after. All right, the next thing that I pulled to work on while I was away is the Braidley Cob Stitched Jumper by Erica Knight. Now this one is also a 12 cast on, and this was day 5. My little stitch marker there. This one I am using Erica Knight British Blue wool, British Blue 100 I think is the wool, but I over dyed it. So it's actually quite a bright orange, and then I dyed it with some black to get this more deeper orange colour. I bought 6 skeins, I dyed 5, and I'm hoping that's going to be enough to finish the jumper. But this is the design. So it has front and back is just stocking stitch, and then, oh, don't drop stitches. On either side under the arm you have this pattern. And so you can see, I don't know how it's going to block out, but you can see some bobbles forming, and there'll be another one up here, and so they alternate as they go up. I'm not going to say I love this design. I love the jumper, and I've been making it for, sorry, I've had it on my to make list for a long time. I believe it's Sarah Hatton. Do I have that in here? Erica Knight wool. Yeah, so it's designed by Sarah Hatton. Here is black and white picture of it. I love I love the look of the jumper. I am excited to wear the jumper. I'm not enjoying knitting it as much, and I'm not sure if it's because of the wool or the pattern itself, or because I picked it up after doing the Kookaburra one, and I made such progress on the Kookaburra one, and then when I started knitting this one, I was like, I'm back to the beginning. Do you feel that sometimes? It's like, yes, I'm making progress, and I'm back taking baby steps. Anyway, I think one of the things is because you have these long stretches of stocking stitch and then you have the pattern stitch, you have to be aware of where you change to stocking and when you change to pattern. So I've put markers in now for when I start doing the patterning, to try and help my brain go, stop, you need to change what you're doing. And I have beginning of round, but I don't have when I finish, and I usually catch myself in a couple of stitches. But I did do a couple of like having to tink back a whole row because I've missed the changeover in patterning or something. It is also designed to be knit flat, and I'm not doing that. So I did it in the round, and I just cast on double the number of stitches. But because the pattern comes out of the ribbing, so it's 1 by 1 ribbing, and you can see the stems grow up out of the ribbing. And so by doing just double the number of stitches, one side was going to line up perfectly and the other side was not going to line up at all. So I ended up decreasing on one side and increasing on the other, so that I still had 4 stitches between, like on each side, I still had the 4 stitches that the pattern called for, but just to bump it around a stitch so that it would line up on the other side as well. I don't know if that made sense. Where is it? Here. I'm not even sure you'll be able to see it. Anyway, I increased on one side, I decreased on the other to make it so that on both sides it grows up out of the ribbing. Other than that, I'm just knitting it according to pattern. Didn't do a gauge swatch, following needle size and all of that. This, like I said, was day 5 of 12 cast-ons. And 12 cast-ons, for me, every project that I had yarn for but hadn't managed to cast on, I put into a bowl. This one, I had bought yarn quite a while ago. I'm trying to remember exactly which show. Okay, it was in Warsaw, October 2023, I want to say. So, a while ago. No? October 2022, I bought the yarn for this and I cast it on this year. So that's the kind of thing that I'm using the 12 cast-ons for, is to go back and make the things that I've wanted to make for a long time. I mean, Weekender was also in my 12 cast-ons, but it didn't come up, so I didn't cast it on then, and now it's finished. Who knew? Yeah, so even though I'm not enjoying the process of that one as much, I did make a lot of progress. When I pulled it out to work on it, I think I had half a round of ribbing, or maybe 1.5 rounds of ribbing. It was not much. Like, I only just got to the casting on really once I figured out all the different things with the pattern. So yes, I did make quite a bit of progress while I was away on that, considering that was my backup project when I needed, or when I couldn't work on the Kookaburra. The next one that I worked on while I was away, which I've also had yarn for, this one I think since September 2021. Is that right? Maybe. September 2021. I also bought it at a yarn show in Poland. And this one is called the Alley Sweater by Sarah Opie. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. And I'm using, this one is Miss Nitsky again in the Macarena DK, and this one is Malabrigo Anniversarios. do I have the tags? This one is the one that I wanted to work on while we were away. Hang on. I do have a Miss Nitsky one here. I can't find the anniversary one. So this is Miss Nitsky again, and is Midsummer Night, 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. So that's the dark blue. I actually swatched for the Bradley Cobb stitch in this colour and then decided that I would use this for what I originally intended it for. But this is where I am up to. Let's see if we can get them out of the way. So pretty. Like even more than the Kookaburra, this is the one that I wanted to work on while we were away. But I didn't have the right size needles. So I went and bought a pair of Knit Pro Nova Metal. Bought it online, got it delivered to a Paczkomatsu, like a dressless drop-off point for parcels in Poland, and then was able to pick them up while I was on holidays. So I could start this while I was away. The Knit Pro are about half the price of the Chiaogu. I do really love Chiaogu red lace, but I just didn't want to pay that much for needles this time. And I have Knit Pro that I use for a blanket and quite like it. And so I decided to try them again. And yeah, they're fine. They're not as sharp or as pointy, like the drop-off is a bit quicker with these ones than the Chiaogu, and they're not quite as pointy, but they are very nice needles. I haven't had any problem with jogs while I'm using it. As I do this, there is like a little bit of a catch, but I haven't had a problem when I'm actually knitting it. So there you go. Knit Pro Nova Metals is what I'm using for this. This sweater, that's a sleeve. There you go, that's the front. You can see there's no striping here. On the back and on the sleeves you have striping. That's the short rows. A very clever way to include short rows and not just have a big blank section. This one of my friends actually was a speech therapist for my son. Hi, if you're watching. But she got to test knit this sweater. And so I had the yarn for it, I had the pattern for it, and then I saw her wear hers. And I was like, yeah, need to start that, need to cast it on. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with the more low contrast colour work in this one. I'm really looking forward to wearing it. Oh, so exciting. I'm doing everything recommended in the pattern, needle size, positive ease, following the pattern exactly. And I did do, it has a folded collar, sorry. And in the pattern she says if you don't like having stuff touching your neck, then you can not do the folded collar, and gives instructions for that. But I decided to, just do everything exactly as it says. And so there you've got, this was day 4 of 12 cast-ons. It's inside because that was the outside before I folded the collar. So I've made good progress on this. Where am I up to? I think I've got 1 or 2 more diamonds before I stop doing diamonds, and then it will be plain knitting for the rest of it, I believe. I don't know if there's kind of some patterning around the cuff or not. But yeah, I love it. Again, this one I had a few rounds of the collar done by the end of day 1, by the end of cast on day, sorry. And so I've made a lot of progress on that while I was away. Yeah, absolutely love it. These are all, every single one of the bags I'm using are bags that I've made. And I have a bag tutorial here on YouTube, which will be linked below, which has how to install a zipper, put a handle in, make a boxed bottom, The one in the tutorial is smaller than this, but I do include information on how to change sizes if you're interested. So there you go. All right, my last whip. Are you ready for this? No, not my last whip. Oh my goodness. I forgot one. I forgot the most important one. All right, I'll show you this quick. This one is hilariously close to being finished, and I could have finished it if I worked on this instead of my t-shirt. But these are my crime scene socks. Bit of texture. This is Maximo Yarns. So same person who did, where is it? Same person who dyed this one. You can see a dyeing style in there. This is, yeah, crime scene. I believe it's luxury sock. Yeah, crime scene luxury sock, which is an 85-15 merino nylon. So I have one sock finished, and I have the other sock that is dropping on the floor on the toe. Like, ridiculous that I didn't finish these before I recorded. But I did think of it, and I didn't think I'd have time, and then I watched some TV with my husband, so I could have, but I didn't work on it. Yeah, so I am doing a textured pattern here. There's no pattern for it, and I have, yeah, like maybe 5 more rounds on the toe. And I've just put the texture pattern into Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady's vanilla sock pattern. Yeah, they will be done next time. The one that I can't believe I forgot is my tea for the tea knit along. Yes, I decided to do Samantha Guerin's Salty Air tea, and I am using yarn by Dye, which is another Polish dyer, and this is in the Mesa Verde colorway. It's silky merino, so it's 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. And it is this beautiful green. And yes, it is shiny. It's silk, so that shine that you're seeing is quite accurate, as is the colour. I love this yarn, and this is where I am up to, hopefully without dropping anything. Let's see if I can spread it out a bit. So the yoke is done. I finished it earlier today. When I wasn't finishing the socks, I finished this. I finished the, can I show you better? It's a bit better. I finished the lace this morning. I ended up waking up early today, so I had extra time to knit, and I did finish the lace this morning. And then I finished doing the final increase when I was watching TV earlier, and I'm now up to splitting for the sleeves. So I've knit around to where I need to split, and I need to put stitches on holders, keep knitting stitches on holders, and then we'll be done. I love this. I'm excited to wear it. I think it'll be a very beautiful colour, but also quite feminine. I quite like this design. What about it? I'm doing everything recommended except for swatching. I don't swatch. But needle size in the pattern, everything is there. I'm using Chowgu red lace needles, which are still my favourite. And so these are size 3.5mm needles. I did not, she recommends having 5 pairs of needles for the different parts. So, you know, casting on with one size, changing to the next size. When you get to here, change to the larger needle size, larger needle circumference. I didn't have interchangeables in 3.5, and I honestly just like red lace. So I ended up doing the whole thing magic loop until it was large enough to just knit in this round, and that's fine. So I only have used 2 needles rather than the 5 that she recommends. But other than that, all according to pattern. I did do a vlog about starting this on the 1st of May, which was posted a couple of days later. So if you're interested in watching that, you can. Otherwise, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I have yarn to make more t-shirts, and I don't know if I'm going to make another one of these or find a different pattern, but I would definitely make this again. I did do a long tail cast on rather than the recommended alternate twisted cast on, I think, or alternating cable cast on. I just did a long tail cast on, that's fine. And I did run into trouble with the increases. So I did the first increase row fine. So in the pattern she writes it, you know, size 1, do this, size 2, do this, size 3, do this. That was fine. I chose my size, I did the increases. Then I did the different things that she says, including adding stitch markers every 11 stitches. Did that. The next time she said, you know, set it out very distinctly in the different levels. I was like, right, well, I'm this size, so I'll do this size. And then it was straight into the lace work. And I was like, cool, that's fine. I hadn't realized how much plain knitting was between the beginning and the lace work. And so I was like, cool, lace work. But the lace work repeat did not line up with the 11 stitch marker repeat that she'd made me do. And I was like, I'm so confused. What is going on? Like, she is a good designer. She has all of her things test knit. How did no one pick this up? Like, clearly I'm wrong. So I went back and had a look and I was like, no, that looks right. I've done all of this. I realized that the second, like, very clearly set out this wasn't another this size, do this. It was row 1, row 2 and 3, row 4, row 5 and 6. And so I'd gone, I'm size 3, so I need to do this. But that was just row 3 of the increases that everyone was doing. So I had to tink back 2 rows, I think, including the first row of lace work, which was not meant to be there. And then add in the stitch markers again, do the increases as she actually writes in the pattern, and then it was all fine. And when I got to doing the lace work, I had the right amount of stitches between my stitch markers for the pattern. So that was totally my fault. It was not at all a pattern writing problem. I think it was just because the structure of do this for your size was so similar to the structure of do these rows. And she did have the do this for your size twice on that page. Just this one was a row 1. So 2 of do this for your size, 1 of row increases for everyone. So it was totally user error. I understand how I made that error, but it was user error. So anyway, it's done, it's fixed, and the t-shirt is almost there. So I think, I haven't read ahead, but I think once I join this, split for the sleeves and join this, it will just be vanilla knitting. I did just hit myself in the face with the needle. I think it'll just be vanilla knitting at that point. So I'm looking forward to doing that and having that be nice and simple. Yeah, and then this will move into my Easy Knits line. And I need to find something else to do for other things. Alrighty, so that one I started on the 1st of May. Well, that is all the things that I am making currently. I do have another couple of things that I'm planning to work on in May. So at the beginning of every month, I sit down and think, what are my plans for this month in terms of making? Because if I have things ready to grab, I work on them. If I don't, then I don't. And at the moment, this is the only thing I've had ready to grab. So that's what's been having the work. That's the salty air tea that I just showed you. So for May making plans, I may cast on another tea. I'm not sure. That one will be finished before the end of the month, barring a grave problem. So I may start another tea as well. I don't have any other t-shirts on the needles at the moment, and I have a few others. I have yarn for another one of them, and I have a few others that I would like to make. So I may do that. I have pulled out this one, my butterfly papillion shawl. I believe it was Louise mentioned that she, excuse me, I almost said bless me, oh my goodness. I think it was Louise mentioned that she's also got one of these shawls on the needles and would be interested in knitting along in May. So I've pulled this back out, Louise. If you're up for it, I'm up for it. Let's knit. I've finished section 1, which goes to this line, and section 2, which is down to the bottom there, and I've got one more section to go, which I could potentially get done this month. And this is one that I need to count a lot for, and I need to pay attention for, but it's still lots of plain knitting. So there's 2 kind of rest rows that are very simple, or 3 rest rows that are very simple, and then 1 very complicated row. So it's kind of in between. Yeah, so I've got mine out. Louise, do you have yours? If anyone else wants to knit on a butterfly shawl during May, please let me know below and join in. Or if you're working on another shawl, I would love to hear it. Just caught it on my ring, it's all good. But I haven't actually worked on that at all. I've made no progress yet, but I did pull it out. The other thing, I was trying to think what I wanted to do, because that lace work is now done. Butterfly shawl is a very focused one that I can't do when I'm really tired. But I wanted to have something that I could do that was easy but still a little bit more focused. And so I thought I should work on the blanket for my nephew. But this one has a little bit of a thing with it. So this is what I have made for my nephew so far. Just ignore the many, many things on it. So this is a Greninja blanket, and this is upside down. But you can see the toes of the Greninja here. My plan was to do the Greninja and then stripe the background as I go. He likes pastel colours, so I thought I've got 5 different pastel colours maybe, and then I can do the pastel colours as the background. The pattern for this is from 2 Magic Pixels. I'll try and remember to link her below. I'm pretty sure she's in the pattern page. What I hadn't counted on was the fact that, you know, particularly in here, I would have so many different bobbins of the pink going between the toes. Now, I know that's not going to be an issue forever, but since I'm changing the background colour, when that colour finishes, I want the stripe to be straight for the next colour joining in. So there's just going to be a lot of joining. It's getting quite fiddly. And I'm not sure that the background like this is really what I want. What I really would have loved was one rainbow coloured yarn, so the whole background was like a mottled pastel rainbow. So no, this has been sitting for a while. I haven't decided exactly what to do, but I did find a baby Groot pattern, also by 2 Magic Pixels. And so I'm tempted to buy that pattern, frog this entire thing, buy more yarn for the background that is a mottled rainbow, and then make him a baby Groot against a pastel rainbow. Yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon? Mel, mother of my nephew, you can weigh in here too. Like definitely the Greninja is coming through here, and I'm seeing that, and that's exciting. I would have to buy more yarn to do the other one, both for the background, and also the colours are quite different. But I also have another niece and nephew in the same family that I can make a different one for, and my own children as well. So the yarn will be used eventually. But yeah, so that's my dilemma. But I've put this into my May making to try and figure out what I'm actually going to do with it, because I do want to work on corner to corner crochet. I've just pulled a bobbin here, is falling down. These are just bobbins that I've 3D printed, so super easy to get more of if I need them. But yeah, what do you reckon? Should I keep going with this? Should I change over to Baby Groot, striped pastel background, crazy pastel rainbow background? What do you reckon? I don't know when I'll start this in earnest, and it will depend on whether or not I need to buy more yarn. But that is one of my questions at the moment, is what do I do with that? Because I do want to get it done, hopefully for Christmas. Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that I have on my list for my making is cross stitch. I just finished watching Grumpy Sheep Happy Llama, which is another YouTube channel here, I'll link them below, talk about their Stitch North visit, which is a cross-stitching, from my understanding, like show and retreat. And so they had some beautiful, beautiful kits and things for cross stitches. Now, I'm not a serious cross stitcher, but I do enjoy it, and I have a lot of things, and so that really inspired me to not buy new things, but to look at what I have and to pick something out to work on. So I haven't picked that out yet. I do have a Jane Austen themed one, and so I thought maybe I'd pick that out and see if I can finish that one up, because that one I bought as a whip from an op shop, secondhand shop, thrift shop. But yeah, so I thought I'd have a look and see what I have that I can pull out and work on, because I would love to do some cross stitching. And then I'll probably need something else before the month is out. So I have colourwork socks. I'll probably cast on another pair of vanilla socks before the month is out. And the big cozy cardi, which was day 12 of 12 cast ons, but I still haven't actually cast it on because I dyed the yarn on day 12. But I am itching to cast that one on. And that will be, I believe, it's another Andrea Mowry pattern, but I believe you cast on basically a big rectangle and knit a big rectangle. And so I want to do that. I think it will be very simple, repetitive, easy kind of knitting, but still with some texture and pattern. So I think if I'm itching for a bigger project, that'll probably be what I go to. If I'm itching for colour work, then I'll go to the Stardew Valley socks that I've been working on. I kind of want to keep working on some of these jumpers that I worked on last month, but I also want a break because I did do a lot of work on them last month. So I'll see if I feel like picking them up again in June. But for right now, we're going to stick with the Salty Air Tea Butterfly Papillion Shawl, figure out the crochet blanket, and then maybe some handwork as well. Then I do have a whole lot of sewing that I need to do. So that will probably be more of my focus this month. My daughter has grown out of all of her dresses that are for warmer weather, and she wears almost exclusively dresses. So rather than buying things, my plan is to make her things. This over here is full of fabric for clothes, both for my kids and for me. So I think I will make her some dresses. I need to make both kids a raincoat, some shorts for my daughter to wear under her dresses, some t-shirts for my son, and they both need some PJs. I have quite a few patterns from when I used to sew a lot more, and from when my sister was sewing clothes a lot more, and she was sharing patterns with me a lot, like telling me, she'd be like, oh, this one's so cute, and then I'd go buy it and never make it. So I have a lot of patterns that I've been combing through, measuring my kids. I just need to print them out, sew them to get, tape the patterns together, and then cut out fabric and sew them. So that is going to be a big focus this month as well, because they have both grown so much and they actually just need clothes, and I don't want to go buy them clothes when I can make them clothes, and it's actually not that hard. Yeah. Anyway, so that's where I'm up to with my crafting plans for May. Yeah. For life stuff, we spent some time away. I did do a vlog on the 1st, which was the last day of being away. So if you want to see or hear a bit more about that, you can go watch that vlog. It was the Cast On with Kirsty Tea Knit Along 2025 special, was that one. We're getting back into routine. The kids are back at school again. I am in a spring cleaning mood. I am itching to clean this house from top to bottom. I do not have enough hours in the day to do that properly, but we're doing a little bit. I'm doing a little bit each day. I have been going through kitchen things and getting rid of doubles, and yeah, we'll take some to an op shop, and there's also some people at church who can use some things, so I'm going to be passing some things on to them. And we're almost up to time to plant things outside. It's May in Poland. This week is overcast and cold. Last month, a couple of weeks ago, we had a day of -3 in the morning, and that killed a lot of plants, so that wasn't great. But we haven't planted anything that would die from the cold yet. Our tulips are blooming beautifully. But yesterday in my Polish class, my teacher was telling me all about the different window box plants and things, and what to look for, and which ones need all the sun and which ones need no sun. There is literally a plant that the word is I hate. Like, the plant is called hates. Do you want to plant some hate in your garden? But it's because it hates sun. The flower only blooms when it's cloudy or the sun is not shining on it. When the sun shines on it, the flower closes. So it's just called hate. I think it's great. So yeah, we'll probably get some of them for that side of the house, because that side doesn't get as much sun. This side is lots of sun. So we'll put other ones out there that like the sun. But yeah, so I'm itching to get planting as soon as this cold weather disappears and the plants won't die. All right, that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked this podcast, and hit the like button, subscribe below so you can hear when I have another podcast out. Yeah, if you are doing the tea knit along, then comment below or go over to Ravelry and share project photos, update photos, whatever. We still have another 6 weeks or so of the knit along, and it is completely participatory. You don't have to finish anything. And if you're not doing that, or even if you are, but you're also doing other things, let me know what those other things are too. I would love to see what you're working on. Thank you again so much for joining me, and I will see you again next time. Bye.